Hello everyone, welcome to my review for Ayashimon Chapter 6. Before I get into this week's review, I of course have to mention that we are only 36 subscribers away from our subscriber goal for 2021, hitting 4,000 by the end of the year. So if you're watching this and you haven't already, you should definitely be sure to subscribe. Every one of you gets us just a little bit closer, and the closer we get, the bigger the difference you make when you subscribe. So with that out of the way, let's get on with the review. I feel like there isn't a ton to talk about in this week's chapter, but it's important to talk about because this seems to be the chapter where we're getting introduced to the main villain, or at least the guy who seems like the main villain. He's the guy that Urara seems to have the big grudge against. So Hashihime is back, and she has been taken in by the subordinates of Chairman Doppo, who is the guy currently running the Enma Syndicate, and he's an interesting fellow. He's an artist, and some things he's been most interested in with art is trying to capture the emotion of fear. Now, something very interesting to him is that humans really like making stuff to scare themselves. We like horror for some reason. We put it in movies and TV shows and manga, and he's very fascinated with the idea of capturing the emotion of fear within a piece of art. And, you know, presumably kind of because of the fact that Ayashimon can't really die, they're immortal, it's really difficult for Ayashimon to be afraid of things. I mean, we've already seen that even when they're dying, they don't really give a shit. They're all very lazy and laid back and irresponsible. None of them are really afraid of anything because they don't have any reason to be afraid of anything. Even if they're killed, if their body's destroyed, they can just reconstitute themselves in 99 years. Which is a while, but it means they're not dead forever. So what's there to really be afraid of? So Doppo has worked on a bit of an art exhibit, which involves keeping Ayashimon as pieces of art that aren't really alive or dead. And this is actually capable of instilling fear in Ayashimon because, well, frankly, this is something way worse than death. This is something that would make you wish that you're not immortal. So that's kind of an interesting thing. Now, Doppo got kind of a neat design. He definitely seems like kind of a hipster. Not exactly what I was expecting from the Yakuza boss, but I suppose that probably would have been Kyo's deal. And it's very clear that Doppo seems to not like Kyo. You're not allowed to say his name around him. So he makes for a fairly interesting antagonist. I'm curious as to what direction the story is going to go with him, if he's going to stay the main antagonist for the entirety of the story, or if he's just going to be an arc villain. I imagine he's going to be the main antagonist for most of the story because, you know, killing him and getting back the family crest is Urara's primary motivation. It's not really clear what she would do after then, you know? Like, there would probably be stuff that you could do with her after that point, but that's her primary motivation. You can't exactly resolve that within the first arc or whatever. That's strange. So, presumably, he's going to be around for a while, and he's going to stay as an antagonistic force for a large part of the series. Now, he gets some photographs from the upside-down ceiling man from the Onmyo Bureau. And these photos, of course, are of our two main characters, Maruo and Urara. Because the reason that Hashihime has been brought here is because they found out that some people had illegally crossed through the border, and that's really weird because Hashihime should be able to stop just about anyone. Why would you let those people through? What are you doing? And he doesn't know who they are. He has no clue who they are. He doesn't know who Urara is. So he's not super worried about them. He doesn't seem to have any concerns. Maybe he's full of shit. Maybe he's lying. But as far as we can tell, he doesn't know who our two main characters are, so he doesn't consider them to be a threat as of yet. So he calls up his boys and tells them, look at these two losers. Why don't you go out and murder them super hard in public? The true art of the Ayashimon is fear. A gangster should be flashy, and so we will be. So go murder them in very over-the-top, horrific fashion. Because it's cool to do that. Last thing, Hashihime seems to be fine. They haven't killed her or anything. We haven't turned her into a horrific piece of half-living art. So hopefully, the thus far best girl is going to be fine. It's probably a little premature to make that kind of decision. But you know, cool design in both forms. So, you know, I've always hoped that she's going to stick around. So presumably what's going to happen is we're going to have a bunch of different people running up on Urara and Maro and trying to murder them. And that'll probably go the way that it's usually gone for a while, until eventually we're going to have someone fight Maro who's able to give him a genuinely hard time. Or they're just going to gang up on him and beat the shit out of him, who knows. But yeah, with that, that's all I've got to say for this week's chapter of Ayashimon. If you enjoyed, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads. I do Ayashimon chapter reviews fairly regularly, so if you want to talk about Ayashimon with other people, or you just enjoy the content I produce on this channel, I highly suggest you check out my Discord server. I have linked to that down in the description. And since it's the end of the video, it's time to give a shout out to my wonderful patrons. Special thanks to Neo, Dijon Redden, Anthony Chavez, Honey Mustard, K-God, Chris Redfield, Scratch23, Rat, Ryzen 4K, Artist, Mac Campaign, Wave of Manga, Chuck's Feed and Seed, Jakester Easy, Playfree Labs, and Emerald. Thank you all very much for supporting me on Patreon. I greatly appreciate it. And if you too want to get a shout out at some point during videos, or access to reviews for Soul Leveling and The Boxer, you can always become a patron as well. There's a link to my Patreon down in the description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys around. Take care.